This is the Sound Blaster Katana V2 by Creative. In this video, I'm going to explain what it can do and why, surprisingly, it may be one of the best soundbar options you can buy. Firstly, this isn't just any normal soundbar. It has some pretty cool, unique selling points that do take it apart from some of the competition. One of those things being the fact that it is massively versatile, and you can use it not only in a desk setup in sort of a gaming PC situation, but also in a living room with a TV. And it does both jobs very well. Now let's be clear on the target audience. Creative does seem to be aiming this towards the sort of gamer market. It has LED stripes, it's got the sort of like sharp edged black metallic look, and also the fact that there's endless audio presets calibrated to individual games available for this. That is what they're doing it for. But it isn't just limited to that. And honestly, I was surprised at how good this thing is for having in your living room and watching movies too. Now let's take a closer look at this soundbar. Firstly, this soundbar supports a virtual 5.1 Dolby surround sound. It's compatible with HDMI ARC, auxiliary, optical and USB. Oh, and Bluetooth 5.0. The soundbar itself has two 2.5-inch drivers and also two 3/4-inch tweeters. And the standalone sub that comes with it has a 6.5-inch subwoofer driver. Now I will get more onto the sound quality later in the video, but I do have to say all of those elements do come together to make a very precise, clear and punchy sound. Now the design is pretty simple with a nice black brushed metal design. Feels really high quality in your hands as well, and the shape of it looks very smart. We have physical buttons on the top that give you a nice satisfying click when you press them. Also, there's a simple LED display on the front which can give you information about the sort of mode you're in or the volume and stuff like that. On that screen we also have a headphone jack, so if you're going to be using this for gaming, you can plug your headphones straight directly into that port on the front of the soundbar, so you're not having to go behind the soundbar or into your computer. You can just sort of go straight into there. Really nice, easy access. And the soundbar also has a built-in microphone if you'd like to use that. Not that it's necessarily the best microphone in the world, but if you're gaming and you want to be heard and you don't have another microphone to hand, in a pinch it's actually going to do a particularly good job. This is me talking through the microphone built in on the Katana, and this is how it sounds. Now I did mention before how versatile this thing is. I think its proper place probably is on a desk in a sort of gaming setup with a gaming PC. However, that isn't the only situation you can use it. I think this will work great with console gaming, and you obviously have HDMI ARC there to be able to assist with that. But also just in a living room space, in a much bigger space than sat at a desk, the volume and the power that this thing has on board actually offers enough to be competing with other living room style soundbars. Now having a soundbar that sounds great a foot away on your desk is one thing, but having a soundbar that can fill a room with high quality sound and it still sound clear and sharp is a completely different beast. And ultimately going between the two is difficult, and I think this does it very, very well. So I hooked this soundbar up to the LG Mini LED TV that I'm currently testing via its HDMI ARC port, and then I just put it through its paces, and I have to say it handled it remarkably well. Peak power is as high as 252 watts, and it did show. The sound definitely got more than loud enough to fill the room, and it wasn't sort of lacking in the bass or lacking in the high ends. I did find that the sort of mid-tones got a little bit lost at higher volumes, but we'll get onto that. And you do lose some of that clarity as sort of the sound starts bouncing around the room and stuff like that. It's never going to be quite as good as being directly in front of it. And despite it being Dolby 5.1 supported, the quality isn't going to be as good as a dedicated surround sound system. That being said, it is impressive nonetheless. Now out of the box, the soundbar is pretty simple to use once you have it set up. You do have to plug the subwoofer in via a wired connection. It is not wireless, but that does mean that you only have one power point as opposed to an individual power point for both. Quite often on soundbars, the presets on them, if the soundbar isn't a particularly high-end soundbar, the presets don't tend to be necessarily that useful in my personal opinion. I tend to find that there might be one that sounds okay and it tends to be a fairly flat EQ, and then as soon as you sort of start going into some of the customized ones, they just change way too much and it just doesn't actually add anything. It just makes it sound worse. I was pleasantly surprised with the presets on this soundbar. Straight out of the box without plugging it in and doing anything, you get a few different options. You have movies, music, gaming and effects, and I think the sound profiles are actually pretty good. Music sounded better coming from the music preset, and movie sounded better coming from the movies preset. Now on the remote included in the box there is a button to cycle through those mode presets, and you can also cycle through RGB LED presets on there too. Now what is cool, all of these color presets and the sound presets are fully customizable in the Creative app on Windows PC or on your Mac. So if you plug in the soundbar to that and download the appropriate software, you can go on and change those things, and it's actually pretty simple and easy to do. You can add new presets, you can change the ones that are currently on there, and it's surprising how good the customization is. For example, with the LED lights, there's a few nice modes on there, but it's nothing that special. But you can go on and add your own and create new ones that, in my opinion, are way better. So you can get the preset to match the exact color scheme that you have in your room. And if you're using particular color LEDs, for example, I'm using blue ones at the moment, you can get one to match that particular shade of blue. And the app also gives you a whole lot of pre-assembled presets for particular types of games that you might be playing. So for example, if you're going to be playing Call of Duty and there's a Call of Duty preset on there, you can stick that one on, and then you know it's been fully calibrated to that game. Now all of this looks great. For people who want something simple, it works in a fairly simple way. For people who want to do a bit more tweaking and like it to be a little bit more advanced, well, you can do that too. But now we do get to arguably the most important thing about a soundbar, the sound. How does it sound? Is it a good soundbar? Is the sound quality great? And as you can probably tell from what I've already said so far, yes, it is a very, very good soundbar. I was actually remarkably impressed with how good it sounded. So currently on my desk, I'm currently using some Edifier RX 1700 BTs. And honestly, I'm massively happy with those. I think they're really good speakers and I really like the look of them. But I obviously plugged this soundbar in to test it on my desk, and I was shocked at how much better the sound was. And this is nothing against the Edifiers, they sound great. But I was shocked at the clarity of sound that I got. Switching between those and the soundbar, I just found out the Edifiers started sounding a bit muddy and not quite as clear, and the soundbar just was that much more precise in every little way. Now this is to be expected somewhat. You go from just having two speakers to having a dedicated soundbar with a separate dedicated subwoofer. Well, yeah, that is going to add a lot more to that sort of sound clarity that you might expect. But what I appreciate from the Katana is that the bass is handled very, very well. It's not overpowering, it's not underwhelming, it's just very accurate and very nice. It's not overpowering and muddy, it's precise and punchy. And the tweeters also sounded great. You actually made out sort of the high ends way more clearly than I could make out the high ends on the other speakers that I have on my desk. So I would say using this in a large room, some of the mids would get a bit lost. For example, I was watching and testing out it using Avengers Endgame in my living room, and I did find that as much as I was getting a decent amount of bass and I was getting a decent amount of the high ends coming through, I did find that some of the mids were just lacking, and I didn't see the conversations to be as clear as they could be. That's not to say that they were bad, they weren't bad at all, but when you have a small soundbar on the opposite side of the room, you're not going to get that precision in the sound. Now, I have to be honest, I haven't spent hours messing with the EQ and finding out exactly what's going to be best for this soundbar in the particular room that I'm using it. And if you want the best sound, that is probably the way to go. But if you're just getting it out of the box and you want it to work, I have to say, I was massively impressed with how it comes out. And now I'm strongly considering, if not, I've already made up my mind that this soundbar is probably going to be replacing the speakers that I've currently got on my desk. So in summary, yes, I am a fan. I love the customizability of it. I love the sound quality of it. And I like the design of it. So that is a huge thumbs up for me. Now, if you have any questions or any opinions on what you think about this soundbar, let me know. So that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one. Whoop!